Here we are, Chapter 4, Part 1 review for the final. Chapter 4, Part 1 review. First, you can type this into your graphing calculator if you wish to get to your table. If you need a reminder of how to do that, you go to your y equals button, type in your equation, so clear out anything that's there. Make sure you put -2, parenthesis, you can't see my finger, and then the x right here, -2, parenthesis, and then squared -4. To get to your table, you have to go second graph to get to your table. So now I have all the points that I can plot here. So if I plot my points, graph would look something like this. You have to state the domain and range. So this vertex, because this moved right 2 down 4, or else you should also be able to get that on your table. My domain here, I have to look how far left and right do I go. Well, that's going on forever. So this one's all real numbers. My range, that's my y value. So I'm going to write my y value. It's below, so that means y is getting less than or equal to -4 because it's equal to -4. Another review for Chapter 4, Part 1 is writing the equation. So remember, this is my equation that I'm dealing with. So I have to figure out my vertex. My vertex is right here. My vertex is -2, 0. And I also have to find my a value. Your a value is always your vertex point, the first point on the right. Always vertex to the first point on the right. It has to go in that order. So then I look at this, I have a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So my a value is 2 over 1 or just 2. So when I write this, I have y, because there's no shading, it's equals. My a value is 2. Remember, this is always opposite. So because of that negative, this is actually going to go +2. And then I don't have to write that 0 there, but you actually, that's a -1. What am I doing? That should be -1. Sorry, -1. You can always graph this in your graphing calculator and then see if it matches. The other part from Chapter 4, Part 1 was finding the vertex. Remember, finding the vertex is opposite b over 2a and then plugging it in. So if I look at this, this is my a, b, c. So if I do opposite b, that would be opposite 3 over 2 times a. This is -3/4. So I know my vertex is -3/4. I have to plug that number into my equation. So if I plug that into my equation, I have 2, and in parentheses, -3/4 squared minus or plus 3 times -3/4, and then minus 10. Now, I'm not a huge fan of decimals, so I'm going to leave my answer as -89/8. Looking at this now, if I were to draw a graph sketch of this graph, it's pointing up because there's no negative here. So this would be a minimum. So it's going to be a minimum at y equals -89/8 because that's my y value. My domain is all real numbers. And again, my range is based off of that 89/8. That's 8. So when I'm looking at this, it's above the graph, so y is greater than or equal to. And then we have the last part of Part 1, all the factoring great stuff that we have going on here. So when I'm factoring, I'm going to typically do it the guess and check way. First thing I want to do to see if there's anything that I can take out. I can take out a negative because I don't want to have this one as a negative. So I'm going to take out a -1, leaving me with x squared minus 2x minus 80. Because the fact that when I take out this -1, I have to switch the sign for everything. So now I'm thinking of factors of -80 that would add together to get -2. Well, I know that 8 times 10 equals 80. And I know they have a difference of 2. So I want to make sure to put my negative with the larger number. So now if I were to guess and check this, so here's what I have. If I want to guess and check, this would give me my x squared. Right here, this would give me -10x. This gives me +8x. And together, those two give me my -2x. And this would give me my -80. So that's completely factored. For this second one right here, well, I can take out a 2 first. If I take out that 2, I'm left with 36x squared. I'm going to write my 0x minus 1. This is actually a perfect square problem because both 36 and 1 are perfect squares. So the perfect square of 36 is 6, and the perfect square of 1 is 1. Now, to multiply to get 1, I need a positive and a negative. So now I'm going to check it. So if I were to check this, 6x times 6x gives me my 36x. 6x times negative 1 gives me negative 6x. This gives me a positive 6x, so together that's a 0. And then 1 times negative 1 gives me negative 1. So the next one, first thing I'm going to do is what do they have in common that I can take out? I can take out a 2. When I take out that 2, I'm left with 7x squared minus 4x minus 3. So now I have to try to guess and check. So I have 7x and an x. So I have to use my factors of 3. So this one's a little bit easier because this is both of these numbers are prime. So I'm going to guess and check I don't care, the 3 here and the 7 here. One of them has to be negative. I'm going to put the negative, sorry, that's a 1 with the 1 and the positive here. So if I guess and check this, this gives me my 7x squared. That's good. This gives me a negative 7x. This gives me a positive 3x. Together, that gives me, oh, that does work, negative 4x. And then my last two multiplied together does give me a negative 3, so that is factored. Next one, what do they have in common that you can take out? You can take out a 2, and they both have an x in common. So if I take out the 2x, that's kind of like dividing both of these by 2x. So this would be left with a 4x. Here would be left with 3. Because I don't have anything else here with this x squared, that's completely factored. Next one, what do they have in common that I can take out? Nothing. Oofda. I'm actually going to move this one down here so I can just have some more room. 18x squared plus 9x minus 14. So I'm going to write down my factors of 18 and 14. So I don't know why, I just feel like I'm going to go with 2 and 7 for my negative 14. So I'm going to leave this as one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative. Those are the ones I'm going to guess and check first. So when I do this, now I have to guess and check these over here. I'm going to guess and check the 3 and the 6 first. And it's just because, no rhyme or reason. When I guess and check the 3 and the 6, so this is where the x's go for, I'm not going to have the 6 here because those 6 and 2 would have something in common. So I'm going to have the 6x over here and the 3x over here. So now if I guess and check this, this multiplies to get 18x squared. This would multiply to get me a negative 12x. And these two multiplied gives me a 21x. Oh, that was nice of me to do that. So now these two added together will give me a positive 9x. So I so happen to guess and check the right thing. If I didn't, I would have to guess and check the 2 and 9 next. And then I would have to check to see if that would work. But this one works. So we're golden. And the last one, what do they have in common? Nothing. So I actually am going to move it down here again. Actually, I'll write down my factors of 6 and 15. So I'm going to guess and check the 2 and 3 for my factors of 6. And I'm going to guess and check the 3 and 5. So again, I'm not going to put the 3 here because there's already a 3 there. So I'm going to put the 3 over here. Both of these should be negative and the 5 over here. Both of them should be negative so that I can multiply to get a positive 15. And they're going to add together to get a negative. So I'm going to guess and check. So now I'm checking. 2x times 3x gives me my 6x squared. 2x times negative 5 gives me negative 10x. Negative 3 times negative or positive 3 gives me negative 9x. Together, those would give me a negative 18x. So that factors. There you go. And that is your review for part 1 of chapter 4. Have a great and wonderful day.